Welcome. I'm Arthur Dahl, and I wanted to introduce to you a new approach to global systems accounting beyond economics. Our present finance-based indicators support selfishness and greed. The principal measure of success is wealth, personal wealth, corporate wealth, or national wealth measured as GDP. We condemn individuals so greedy, selfish, and aggressive that they injure others. But these values are also incorporated in our institutions, traditional corporations, and systems of financial accounts. Big corporations that maximize profits with the ends justifying any means have no conscience, moral framework, or sense of humanity to restrain them. And financial indicators support and encourage this. These illustrate fundamental failures in ethics, values, morality, and spirituality. A new system of accounting should be founded on a higher vision of human purpose and well-being than selfishness and greed. The UN Secretary General, in Our Common Agenda, pointed out the glaring blind spot in how we measure economic prosperity and progress. As currently measured, GDP fails to capture the human and environmental destruction of some business activities, requiring new measures to complement GDP. We need a new set of global systems accounts, relevant to human and natural well-being, using science-based, non-financial units of account for capital, interest, and debt. We propose 9 initial indicator forms of capital to respect both planetary environmental boundaries of the global commons and minimum social and economic standards for the common well-being of all humanity. These could lead to global taxes or fines on damaging activities and supporting payments for social contributions and environmental regeneration in the common interest. They would define an integrated, dynamic global system for sustainable development. They are founded on human rights and environmental responsibility, acknowledging that our human purpose is essentially spiritual, acquiring higher values. Looking at the new forms of capital and relevant currencies, we could start with carbon accounting. A carbon price is still monetary. We need accounting with carbon as the currency. Early life removed carbon from the atmosphere and balanced the carbon budget. But fossil fuel extraction upset that balance. Biomass, fossil and organic carbon in the ground are carbon capital. Excess atmospheric carbon is a dangerous level of carbon debt. Destroying biological resources and releasing fossil carbon increase carbon debt. Wealth from fossil energy should be taxed to pay for carbon removal, including natural carbon sequestration in developing countries. Atmospheric carbon continues to harm, so historic emissions should be taxed regularly as interest on debt. Total carbon accounting would identify the responsibilities of governments, the private sector, and other non-state actors. Funds raised could support climate mitigation and adaptation in poor countries, and pay for climate loss and damage. We need biodiversity accounting. Natural ecosystems and their species are biodiversity capital. Reduction in biodiversity increases debt. Accounts would be based on biological inventories and measures of ecosystem services. Loss of biodiversity, such as deforestation, should be taxed to support biodiversity conservation and restoration. We need pollution accounting, since a clean environment is capital to be maintained. Pollution increases debt. Persistent organic pollutants are a debt burden, requiring continuing interest payments by producers. Quantification of pollution debts implements the polluter pays principle, and taxes on releases would finance cleanup. Then there are basic human needs accounts. Accounting to eliminate poverty would be a good starting point. Social capital is every human being having a guaranteed minimum income or other resources to meet basic needs, with a universal social safety net without conditions such as nationality, handicap, or migration status. Poverty statistics measure the debt side of accounts, but not the ideal of eliminating poverty. We need complementary wealth accounting to address inequality. So graduated income and wealth taxes would raise the funds necessary to meet the needs of the poor. Food is another capital necessary for human well-being, with the goal of universally adequate human nutrition. Food insecurity is linked to poverty, crop failures, rising food prices, lack of access. Accounts should cover sustainable food production, distribution, consumption, waste, meeting nutritional needs. Food accounts would provide the basis for controls or taxes on unsustainable production, fast food of no nutrition, and support regeneration of food production, guaranteeing a decent income for farming and fishing. Human health and productivity are another capital. Activities that damage health increase debt. We presently measure the financial costs of health care, not the loss of human well-being. Look at tobacco, alcohol, narcotic drugs that generate profits because the health impact is ignored. There are existing health statistics, but we need more on good health and optimum life expectancy, including a multicultural perspective beyond Western curative approaches. We need work accounting. Every human being has the capacity to contribute productively, and should receive training and an opportunity to use that capacity in meaningful work or employment. Work has a social function for human dignity, to be of service, to develop higher moral and spiritual values. Work is not just paid employment. It includes social services, housekeeping, raising children, subsistence food production, environmental and cultural services. The capital stock would maximize every person's productive potential throughout their life. Unemployment is debt, reducing work's capacity to generate further wealth. Marginalization due to gender, ethnicity, handicap, or other biases is work debt. Accounts and indicators would provide positive and negative incentives for a more inclusive society. Then we need knowledge and education accounting, measuring the intangible capital of knowledge, science, art, culture, and information. These increase in value the more they are shared. But today, they're intellectual property sold to those who can pay. This creates knowledge debt relative to open access. This form of capital needs to be transmitted through universal education to each new generation. So we need accounts for the standing stock and preservation of knowledge and culture, and the dynamics of access to knowledge, its use, creation, storage, and transmission at multiple levels, global, national, local, even in families. Then there are spiritual capital accounts for the values under which the system operates. Spiritual capital is the collection of beliefs and values that drive social, organizational, and individual behavior, including individual qualities of character, virtues, values, from spiritual traditions, cultures, philosophies, or worldviews, and expressed collectively in social structures of cultures, religions, and institutions. These values are associated with individually and socially beneficial outcomes, such as better physical and mental health, lower crime rates, political participation, and future-oriented ideals, inspiring social action such as charity, social activism, a just economy, and transmitted across generations via families, communities, and culture. To be accessible to all, these accounts would work at multiple levels, with the global accounts for the state of the planet, national accounts, community accounting reading the local reality, and individual and family accounting bringing ourselves to account. All these forms of capital combine into a new definition of wealth in complementary currencies, founded on scientific standards of human and natural well-being, accounting for the global common interest, and motivating social progress for all. they would provide the basis for more effective institutions of governance, creating new, just, equitable, sustainable world society in harmony with nature. Thank you.